3:14 a.m. Look at your clock right now, in your memory, the next time you wake up in the dark for no reason. What number do you see? For millions of people over 60, it's almost never random. It's the same window, night after night, somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning. And if you've asked your doctor about it, you probably got the same answer everyone gets. That's just aging. And if you searched online, you found the same 5 recycled tips you've already tried. I want to do something different today. Because after years of working with seniors on exactly this problem, I can tell you this. Waking up at 3 a.m. is not random, and it is not meaningless. In most cases, your body is sending you a very specific signal. And one of the 7 reasons I'm about to walk you through, the one I saved for last, is something that happens inside your body every single night that almost nobody talks about. It's invisible. It rarely comes up in a regular doctor's visit. And once you hear it, I think it will change the way you think about your sleep for good. So stay with me all the way through, because if you leave early, you'll miss the piece that matters most. Before we start, I want you to do one thing. Picture the moment you wake up at that hour. Is it sudden, like a jolt? Is it heat in your chest? A wave of anxiety that comes from nowhere? Or do your eyes just open, wide alert, like someone flipped a switch? Hold on to that feeling. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what your body was trying to tell you. I'm Dr. Roberto, and this channel exists for one reason. Seniors deserve real, honest information about what's happening inside their bodies. Not vague reassurance, not confusing jargon, just the truth, explained simply enough to actually use. Today we're going deep on one of the most common complaints I hear from adults over 60, waking up at almost the exact same time every night, usually between 2 and 4 in the morning. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific reasons this happens. For each one, you'll learn what's physically going on, why it hits harder after 60, what it actually feels like, and what you can do about it starting tonight. Before we get into it, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps me understand who's part of this community. Let's get into it. Reason 7. Your organs each keep their own clock, and one of them is working the night shift. This is something almost nobody in Western medicine talks about, and yet the science behind it is surprisingly solid. Your body doesn't run on one single clock, it runs on many. Your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your digestive system, each one has its own rhythm, its own peak hours. According to both traditional medical understanding and modern chronobiology research, your liver is at its most biochemically active somewhere between 1 and 3 in the morning. That's when it works hardest, filtering your blood, processing waste, breaking down everything you consume during the day. Here's why that matters more as we age. Your liver slows down over time. It processes things less efficiently. So if it's dealing with a heavy dinner, alcohol, or certain medications on top of its usual nighttime workload, it can trigger a subtle stress response in your body. That stress response causes a small hormonal shift, and that shift is sometimes just enough to pull you straight out of sleep at exactly that 2 to 3 a.m. window. Picture your body as a city and your liver as the night shift sanitation crew. During the day, the trucks sit parked. But at 1 a.m., they start rolling. They don't need to be loud to disturb the neighborhood. They just need to be there. So what can you actually do? Finish dinner at least 3 hours before bed when you can. Keep it lighter, especially in fat and protein, since both take real work for your liver to break down. Skip alcohol in the evening. Even a small amount adds to that overnight load. And if you're on several medications, ask your doctor whether any of them are processed by the liver, because when you take them can matter just as much as what you take. Reason 6. A single mineral your brain depends on at night is quietly running out. I talk about this one constantly because it's so overlooked, and it affects a huge percentage of older adults. Magnesium. Magnesium is involved in over 300 processes in your body. For sleep specifically, it helps regulate your nervous system, supports melatonin production, and activates the brain receptors responsible for deep restorative rest. Here's the problem. Magnesium levels drop with age. You absorb less of it from food, you excrete more of it through your kidneys. And common medications, including certain diuretics, antacids, and acid reflux drugs, deplete it even further. When magnesium runs low, your nervous system becomes hyperreactive. Things that shouldn't wake you, a slight temperature change, a dream, a soft sound, suddenly jolt you fully awake. And once you're up, your brain struggles to power back down because it's missing the exact mineral that tells it to calm. I worked with a woman, 71 years old, sharp as anyone I know, who had been waking at 3 a.m. for almost 2 years. She assumed it was anxiety and had tried everything. It wasn't until we checked her magnesium levels that we found them sitting at the low end of normal. After talking with her doctor and starting magnesium glycinate, she was sleeping through the night within 3 weeks. I want to be clear here. Don't start supplementing on your own, especially if you have any kidney concerns. Talk to your doctor first, and if it's appropriate, ask specifically about magnesium glycinate or magnesium taurate, since those forms tend to be gentler and absorb better. For food, dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and black beans are all excellent sources. But magnesium is only part of the picture, because the next reason involves something your body does every single night that almost nobody has ever heard of. And it may be the most underrated cause of 3 a.m. waking in seniors. If this is landing for you, drop a 6 in the comments so I know you're still here. Reason 5, your body temperature is dropping too fast and your brain is panicking. Sleep and body temperature are more connected than most people ever realize. To fall asleep, your core temperature has to drop. That drop is literally the trigger that shifts your brain into sleep mode. And through the night, your temperature keeps following a precise curve, a slow decline into the early morning, then a gradual rise that prepares you to wake up. In healthy younger adults, that curve is smooth and predictable. After 60, it gets less precise, and 2 things can go wrong. First, the early drop can happen too fast, which sounds helpful, but actually disrupts your sleep architecture, making the lighter stages later in the night more fragile. Second, the morning temperature rise, the one meant to wake you naturally around 6 or 7, can shift earlier. Instead of starting at 5 a.m., it starts at 2:30 or 3, when your core temperature starts climbing. Your brain reads that as a signal, time to wake up. A bedroom that's too warm makes this dramatically worse. A lot of seniors keep their rooms warmer than they should, often out of fear of feeling cold at night. But a warm room fights directly against your body's natural cooling process, and it can push you into lighter sleep exactly when you should be in your deepest rest. Think of your sleep like a slow cooker. The right temperature gives you a perfect result. Too much heat and the whole cycle gets thrown off. Things finish too early and boil over. Research consistently points to a bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 18 to 20 Celsius, as ideal for older adults. If that sounds cold, try it for 1 week with a warm blanket and light pajamas instead of a hot room. Most people are genuinely surprised by the difference. If this is starting to make sense, if you're seeing your sleep differently already, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this reach other seniors lying awake tonight with no idea why. And if you haven't subscribed, do that too. I put these videos out because I believe this information genuinely changes lives. Let's keep going, because now we're getting into the reasons most doctors never bring up. Reason 4,
this
your
glowing
gut is
pathway,
talking to your
often
brain,
called the
and
vagus
conversation
nerve, is the
happens at 3
superhighway
a.m.
connecting our digestive
You've probably
system
heard
directly
of
to the
gut-brain
brain.
connection. Your gut and brain are in constant communication through what's called the gut-brain axis, a two-way highway involving your vagus nerve, your immune system, and billions of nerve cells lining your digestive tract. What most people don't know is that this conversation doesn't stop when you fall asleep. Gut activity has its own circadian rhythm, and parts of it actually peak overnight. When your gut microbiome, the community of bacteria living in your digestive tract, is out of balance, it can send inflammatory signals straight to the brain along that same highway. Research over the past decade has linked this kind of gut imbalance to disrupted sleep cycles, more nighttime waking, and less time spent in deep sleep. And here's the piece specific to seniors. Your gut microbiome naturally becomes less diverse with age. Antibiotics, dietary shifts, less physical activity, and certain medications, especially acid reducers, all shift your gut bacteria in ways that can interfere with that nighttime communication. The result is a kind of low-grade biological static at night. Your brain picks up slightly agitated signals from your gut during the exact window, 2 to 4 a.m., when your sleep is already at its lightest. Think of it as your gut sending your brain a text message at 3 a.m. that just says, something's off. It's not urgent, but your brain, already in a lighter stage of sleep, picks it up anyway and wakes you. What actually helps? Eat a wider variety of fiber, different vegetables, legumes, whole grains, to feed beneficial bacteria. Add fermented foods like plain yogurt, kefir, or kimchi to help reintroduce good strains. And skip large meals and high sugar foods in the evening, since they fuel the fermentation activity that peaks while you sleep. Small changes here, held for a few weeks, can make a measurable difference. If this is helping, type 4 in the comments so I know you're still with me. Reason 3, a silent hormonal shift is happening that your doctor may never have connected to your sleep. Let's talk about your thyroid, specifically what it's doing at night. Your thyroid produces hormones that regulate your metabolism, your body's energy production. Like everything else in this list, it follows a circadian rhythm. Thyroid-stimulating hormone, or TSH, tends to peak in the late evening and early morning, your body's way of preparing for the day ahead. In a perfectly balanced system, that peak goes completely unnoticed. But millions of seniors have some degree of subclinical thyroid imbalance, meaning their levels sit technically within the normal range but aren't well balanced. In those cases, that early morning TSH surge becomes more noticeable. It can raise your resting heart rate, raise your internal temperature, and create a vague sense of restlessness or alertness, all at 3 a.m. At the same time, your adrenal hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, interact closely with thyroid function. If your adrenal system has been chronically stressed, both can fall out of sync in a way that produces that wide-awake, heart-racing, mind-spinning feeling in the early morning. I want to tell you about a man I worked with, 68 years old, who'd been waking between 3 and 4 every morning for over a year. His standard blood work always came back fine, but when he specifically requested a fuller thyroid panel, including T3 and reverse T3, not just TSH, his doctor found a pattern consistent with subclinical thyroid imbalance. After adjusting treatment, his early morning waking resolved almost completely within 2 months. If you're waking at 3 a.m., especially with a racing heart, inner heat, or restlessness you can't explain, it's worth asking your doctor for a complete thyroid evaluation, not just TSH, a full panel, since the standard test alone can miss important patterns in older adults. Tell me your name and where you're tuning in from. I go through the comments myself, and I want to know who I'm actually talking to. Reason 2. Your medications may have a scheduling conflict you don't know about. This one I need to be direct about, because it's common, it's fixable, and it's almost never discussed. Many seniors take multiple medications, prescribed for good reasons. But the timing of those medications, specifically when you take them relative to your sleep cycle, can have a real and completely unintended effect on when you wake up. A few examples. Certain beta blockers, commonly prescribed for the heart and blood pressure, are known to suppress melatonin. Taken in the evening, they can directly interfere with your ability to stay in deep sleep through the early morning. Some antidepressants, particularly SSR, is taken in the morning, hit their peak metabolic activity in the afternoon and evening, which can create a stimulating effect right when your brain should be winding down. Diuretics taken in the afternoon or evening do exactly what you'd expect. They increase your need to urinate during the exact window you should be in your deepest sleep. And certain blood pressure medications can cause your pressure to dip too low in the early morning, triggering a compensatory stress response, a small internal alarm that wakes you around 3 a.m. Here's what I want you to actually do. Write down every medication you take and the time of day you take it. Then sit down with your doctor or pharmacist, ideally both, and ask one specific question. Could the timing of any of these be contributing to my early morning waking? Not whether the medication itself is right for you, just the timing. In many cases, shifting a dose by a few hours changes everything about how the night goes. No new prescriptions, no major changes, just timing. And it's one of the first things that gets overlooked. Reason 1, something is happening in your bedroom that you can't see, and it's quietly taking apart your sleep. This is the one I promised you at the start, the one that surprises almost everyone. And I want to spend a little extra time here because it matters that much. We spend a lot of energy thinking about what we do before bed, what we eat, what we drink, how we wind down. All of that matters. But almost nobody thinks about the bedroom itself while they're actually sleeping in it. Start with light, not the bright light of a television or a lamp, something far subtler, the standby light on a TV, the blue glow of a cable box, the green LED on a power strip, the glowing numbers on a clock across the room. Research in peer-reviewed sleep journals has found that even low-level ambient light you'd barely register consciously, can disrupt melatonin production and increase awakenings later in the night. Your eyes, even closed, contain cells that detect light regardless, and they signal your brain. At 3 a.m. in your lightest stage of sleep, That signal can be enough to tip you into full wakefulness. Now add sound, not loud sound, subtle, irregular sound. A refrigerator compressor cycling on and off, a car passing outside, the house settling, a partner's breathing shifting. In the second half of the night, your brain is in an extraordinarily sensitive state, close to the surface, and low-level irregular sounds during this window can catch it off guard and pull it fully awake. Here's a way to picture it. Your sleeping brain at 3 a.m. is like a light sleeper in a quiet apartment. During the day, noise and light don't register, you're busy, engaged, distracted. But at 3 a.m., the quietest moment of the night, every hum, every flicker, every drip gets amplified. Your bedroom should be as close as possible to a sensory blank space, dark, cool, quiet, with electronics minimized. Tonight, cover or switch off every LED and standby light in the room. Tape over the ones you can't turn off. Move your phone across the room. Close the door if household noise is a factor. These are small changes, but your sleep is at its most fragile in the second half of the night, and fragile things need protection, not more exposure. Let me bring this all together before we close. Waking up at 3 a.m. is not random. It's not just aging, it's a signal, and today we walk through 7 possible sources of that signal. 7. Your liver's peak working hour is overloaded, and adjusting your evening meal can ease that burden. 6. Low magnesium is making your nervous system hyperreactive, and it's both testable and fixable with your doctor's guidance. 5. Your core temperature regulation is shifting, and your bedroom may be making it worse. 4. Your gut and brain are in active nighttime conversation, and an imbalanced microbiome may be sending disruptive signals during your lightest sleep. 3. A subtle thyroid or adrenal imbalance may be sounding an internal alarm at the wrong hour, and a full panel might catch what a standard test misses. 2. Your medication timing may be creating disruptions that are completely fixable without changing a single prescription. 1. Your bedroom environment itself, light, sound, and nearby electronics, may be compromising the most fragile stage of your sleep every single night. In most cases, it's not just one of these. It's 2 or 3 stacked on top of each other. The good news is that identifying even 1 or 2 and making a change can shift your sleep in a real way. None of this requires expensive equipment, surgery, or a complete lifestyle overhaul. Just awareness and the decision to act on it. I want to leave you with something personal. One of the most common things I hear from seniors who finally start sleeping through the night again isn't "I feel rested." It's something bigger. They tell me, "I feel like myself again." Because sleep isn't separate from the rest of your life. It's the foundation everything else is built on. Your memory, your mood, your balance, your immune system, your ability to be fully present with the people you love. When sleep improves, everything around it starts to improve with it. You are not too old to reclaim your nights. You are not too old to wake up clear, rested, and ready. You've earned that. And I genuinely believe that for a lot of you watching right now, one of these 7 things is the exact answer your body has been waiting for you to find. This video is for educational purposes only and isn't intended as medical advice. Always talk to your physician or a qualified healthcare provider before changing your diet, supplements, or medication timing. So tonight, pick just one thing. Cover the LED lights in your bedroom. Ask your doctor about your magnesium levels, or move your evening meal a little earlier. Give it a week and pay attention. If this helped you understand something about your body you didn't know before, send it to one person, a friend, a spouse, a sibling, who's also losing sleep and doesn't know why. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can hand someone is the right information at the right moment. And if you want more honest, practical health guidance for living well after 60, subscribe to Dr. Roberto Senior Health. I'll see you in the next one.